I did not expect to vlog about the main event. I was gonna post something on Instagram, on our Facebook page. Figured Magomed Ankalaev, came back from some adversity, had his legs roughed up by some badass leg kicks by Jan Blachowicz. That was a relatively entertaining and engaging main event fight at UFC 282. We just came off of the horrific Paddy Pimblett Jared Gordon decision, which saw Jared Gordon lose somehow via split decision despite beating Paddy Pimblett at least 2 rounds to 1. So then we get to the main event, which I thought, okay, these two guys are the best of the best. This is not going to be a lame event. Not at all. And what happens? Jan looks really good early on. Jan hobbles Ankalaev a few times. I mean, Ankalaev is just visibly grimacing with these leg kicks and everything else. I mean, they looked awful. And I thought, man, Ankalaev is going to be done. He's a tough guy, but he's going to be done. And instead, he went back to his grappling, went back to his wrestling. He took Jan Błachowicz down. The last, I'd say, 10, 11 minutes of the fight, I mean, Ankalaev looked fantastic and just deflated Błachowicz. And afterwards, we get to the judge's decision. And when Bruce Buffer starts reading individual judges' names, you know that there's going to be a split decision. And based on the last fight, you figure, oh my goodness, Jan's going to win this one. Now, I don't think, listen, if Jan won this fight, I don't think it would have been the worst decision ever. But I do think it's safe to say that Ankalaev would win the fight. So we get to the decision. As my homie, the Sportsnista on Instagram posted. 48-47 Błachowicz. 48-46 Ankalaev. And the final judge scored it 47-47, making this the final main event of 2022 for UFC pay-per-view, a split draw. Now, you may be wondering why I titled this was Magomed Ankalaev robbed and not, both guys robbed. Well, shout out to Jan Błachowicz. Jiri Prochazka, incredibly honorable man to vacate the light heavyweight championship. I personally wouldn't have done that. I would have kept my money and kept that championship. But hey, God bless him. Very honorable man. And Jan Błachowicz, another honorable, classy man. Because he went right up to Magomed and he straight up told him, you won that fight. And then he got on the mic and said, I don't think I won that fight. I got to watch it again. But I don't think I won that fight. And then when Joe Rogan was interviewing Magomed, Jan came back to Magomed and said into the microphone, where's your belt? Get him the belt. He should be the champion. I'm paraphrasing here, but he pretty much said that. So shout out to Jan Błachowicz for recognizing that he lost that fight. Shout out to Jan, Polish Power, for busting his ass and then afterwards, being gracious in, what a lot of people's eyes see as a defeat. But what a shit show. Pardon my language. What a mess. This is just a mess. Now, more people are going to pay attention to this because this is UFC, and UFC's hot right now, and all eyes are on Dana White and the crew. But there was a scorecard. I think one of the judges was judging tonight. At Bellator 289, there was a fight between Rafael Stotts and Danny Sabatello. I thought it was a pretty entertaining fight on Showtime. You can go back and watch the replay. But I'd say it was a pretty close fight. And one judge had it 50-45 for Sabatello, and I was like, how? And then we go to the Paddy Pimblett fight. 29-28 across the board in favor of Pimblett. And I go, how? And then we get to the main event, which was not a lame event in terms of quality. This was a hell of a fight. And somehow the last judge got it 47-47. I know Jan's a very classy guy. I know in a lot of people's eyes, Jan lost the fight. But in some multiverses, unlike the Paddy fight, you maybe could make an argument for Jan. And at least with Jan winning, we would have had a definitive champion, a clean finish, as they say in pro wrestling. and then you could do a rematch, right? But now instead you have a split draw. And while this was a pretty good and entertaining fight, I don't know if it's one that fans want to see again. No offense to either guy. It just, you know, styles make fights. This was I enjoyed the fight, but I mean, it wasn't like Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, or anything like that, right? It wasn't Jiri and Glover. It wasn't even Glover versus Jan. And so, this begs the question: what's the deal here? One, MMA judging sucks, and something needs to be done. Two, as I mentioned in my previous video about the Paddy Jared Gordon robbery, this makes the UFC and the sport MMA look so bad because of the James Krause controversy. If you don't know, James Krause is a bum-ass trainer, cornerman, former fighter too, who was caught allegedly betting on his own fighters and betting on fights and perhaps engaging in an activity that may constitute as rigging. Okay, like he could be UFC's Tim Donaghy. So he's been banned, and it's bad enough to the point where I believe in Ontario and perhaps other provinces in Canada, betting with the UFC is now illegal. And if you don't know anything about sports gambling, it is a lucrative business, especially here in New Jersey and New York. So, my God, just a controversy. It's a big controversy already. It's a massive one waiting to happen if there's an underbelly of gambling and all that other stuff. The fact that this happens in back-to-back fights, co-main event, main event, this looks really bad. And number three, and this is more of like a sarcastic point of view, but it's just kind of funny how karma works, right? Reportedly, if I recall, Glover Teixeira said he'd fight either Ankalaev or Jan Blachowicz for the vacant title. And I believe he needed just like one more month to get ready because, hey, the dude's in his 40s, and to fight a guy on short notice seems a little unfair to me. I know Santiago Ponzinibbio did that, and he was all right, but I'm sorry, Ponzinibbio's awesome. But, Glover Teixeira is fighting for a freaking title. He's a former champion. Like, give this guy a little bit of a grace period, right? And UFC was like, no, we're just going to make Ankalaev and Jan Błachowicz the title fight. So maybe that was a way of the MMA gods saying, no, kiss our asses, UFC. You should have waited for Glover. Or maybe the universe just wants Jiri as the champion. I don't really know. Either way, while this was relatively an entertaining card, I thought, especially from the prelims on, I think there were like, 10 straight finishes? It was friggin' crazy. At the end of the day, much like a pro wrestling pay-per-view or a boxing pay-per-view or even an MMA pay-per-view, people are going to remember the main event. And if the main event ended like ass, if the co-main event ended like ass, if they both ended like ass back-to-back, you're going to have a bad taste in your mouth moving forward, and that's bad. I think Ankalaev was even translated as saying he might not want to fight again in the UFC because of the judging. I mean, that's just bad. That's just bad, man. Let's go to some of the comments here. See if I'm out of line. Funny Meme says, bro, the only two fights that went the distance are both robberies. I agree. I'd even say the last round was a 10-8 for Ankalaev. I agree. Jacob Goldenberg, I believe that was the biggest robbery ever. Okay. I would not go, again, as I said in my previous video, I would not go that far because I watched Evan Dunham and Sean Shirk. I watched Machida versus Shogun 1. I mean, Lord, I watched last night's Bellator where Rufián Stotts was almost robbed. Actually, you know what? I don't think Rufián Stotts would have been robbed if he lost, but I thought it was a close fight. But 50-45 Sabatello, that was like one of the most disgusting scorecards I've ever seen in my life. That was pretty bad. The fact that all people are saying you either get ending yourself or judges giving, like, no one believes the judges in the UFC are right in the head. Yeah, no, it's bad, Foxy Freddy. Them judges are high on Polish. LSD. Hamad Sultan and Marhaba Habibi. Listen, man, if the judges were on something Polish, they would have given the fight to Jan. And that, I think, and even though I thought Jan lost the fight, that still would have been better than a split draw. Come on, man, that's crazy. So yeah. What can I say? A great night of fights marred by two horrible judges' decisions. I thought Santiago Ponzinibbio had an entertaining fight. The Darren Till fight was really entertaining. Darren Till losing again. I mean, man, that guy's on a 3-fight losing streak now. The opener was really good. I didn't expect Bryce Mitchell to lose like that, but damn. But man, you get to the co-main event. Seems like a mild upset with Jared Gordon. Doesn't happen. You see the light heavyweight title fight where I found it intriguing. And I love the toughness of Magomed, fighting through adversity and everything. And that ends in a split draw. Just absolutely embarrassing. As Alexi says, Magomed is robbed. What the F is happening with UFC judges? It's not just UFC, dude. It's again, it's MMA, and these same judges who judge in UFC also judge for Bellator. And if one championship runs a US event here, they're going to be judging for one championship. So it's bad. We want me to say it's really bad. And I think, again, with the betting now, with the rise of gambling, being very lucrative, with the odds being integrated into these programs, with the James Kraft situation, I mean, I don't know what UFC can do, but if there's something they can do, if there's something Bellator can do, if there's something these networks can do, they better do it, because this looks really bad. But I want to hear from you. Who do you think really won the main event, which unfortunately ended in a lame event? Let me know. Leave a comment below. If you enjoyed our updates over the last few days of Bellator and UFC, please like, share. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more updates like this. We've got a ton of MMA interviews up as well, including my interview with Robert Whittaker, former middleweight champ. What a mess. Until next time, everybody, as always, enjoy the fights, and hopefully y'all can make a better decision than some of these judges. Good Lord. I'm sorry, Magomed.